P represent a true statement and let Q represent a true statement. Find the truth value of the following statement. We're going to read this as not the quantity P and not Q. The first thing that we need to do is create a truth table. And we're going to start with a column for P and a column for Q. In this case, we're looking at binary options, either true or false. So what we can do is we're going to go ahead and look at the truth table for the column for P. And P is either going to be true or it's going to be false. At the same time, we have to be comparing it to Q, because Q has the option of being true if P is true. But if P is true, Q could also be false. So we have to take that into account. Now, if P is false, right here, Q could be true. And then our final option is the fact that P is false, and then Q is also false. So we have four possibilities for a truth table when we're regarding P and Q. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a column for not Q. And as you might surmise, not Q is simply going to be the opposite of whatever Q is. In this first instance, Q is true, not Q would be false. Q is false here, so then not Q would be true. Q is true here again, and now that means that not Q would be false. And likewise, this will be true. And now what we're going to do is we're going to consider the compound statement P and not Q. So let's consider this conjunction P and not Q. P and not Q will be true when both components P and not Q are both true. So in this case, when I look at this, I see that P is true, Q is not true, therefore P and not Q would be false. Here P is true and Q is true, so therefore P and not Q would be true. And here P is false and not Q is false, so this would be false. And then here we have P is false and then Q is true, so this would be false also. Alright, so now we're going to look at not the quantity P and not Q. And if P and not Q is false, then not that is going to make this a true statement. If P and not Q is true, then not that is going to be false. If P and not Q is false, then we're going to turn that and change that into a true statement. And then if P and not Q is false, then that becomes a true statement. Now, the thing about this, though, is we're really only concerned about this first row. And the answer for the question is let P represent a true statement and let Q represent a true statement. Find the truth value of the following statement. And that's why we end up with this answer right here. This right here would be considered a true statement. Here's another way to look at it. If we let P be equal to truth, okay, and Q is also truth, we know that not Q is going to be false, which means that P and not Q as a conjunction will also be a false statement. Because as I said previously, we're taking into account this true here and this false here. And in order for a conjunction to be true, both of them have to be true. So now we're looking at the fact that this is false. And then the last thing that we're going to do is say not P and not Q is going to be a true statement. And I have gone ahead and done the truth value of the statement fairly quickly without having to establish an entire truth table.